All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Top Line. It's your boy Chris, and yes, sir. That's right, man. First of all, freaking gnat keep flying around. Where the hell he come from? I said I was gonna do a deep dive into the Raptors head coaching candidates, and I wanted, and I got two dark horses out there too, man. Two dark horses, and we're gonna talk about them. And not in this video, but I want to deep dive into those too. Hopefully I don't get through this series and maybe I made a decision. But Raptor Nation told me, Chris, pump your brakes, hold your horses. Take the time, let him meditate, make the right decision. And I'm sitting here like, hey man, I understand all that, dog. But at the end of the day, you got drafts coming up. You want to be prepared. You want to know which direction coach you want to go. And people saying to me, Chris, well, the GM is going to make the decision anyway. But if I'm saying, hey man, I understand that, but the GM need to be working with the coach, so the GM can make sure you get the right coach that fit get the right player that fits what the coach want, right? Chris, just wait and relax. Okay, cool. Nah, man, I get what you guys are saying, but to me, man, I think you want to make that decision, though. You want to get it done. You want to just to know the next to know which direction your team is going in. Someone said that everyone's just so impatient. It's not about being impatient. It's about being prepared. Cause I'm confused. If I understood it correctly, GM works with the head coach to pick it don't make sense. What happens when you get a GM that just pick players that don't fit what the coaches want? You end up with a defensive-minded coach with a bunch of offensive players, and to make the coach look bad, and the coach get fired. I'm not talking about what the Lakers did to Frank Vogel. I'm just saying. Anyway, man, let's keep it pushing, though. Darko Rajakovic. I butchered that name. I'm gonna butcher his name. We're gonna call him Raj, man. We're gonna call him Raj for lack of better terms here. Let me see. I got some information pulled up on him. Now the thing about him is it's interesting. The number one thing when it comes to Toronto Raptors is about player development. It's about player development, man. Point blank period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's about player development. And not only that, but it's also about, before I say that, the one thing you got to agree with me with, the day of putting a bunch of stars together and winning championships is done. It's over. It's done. The days of the super team is over. It's done, and I am, for one, super happy about it. You look at the teams that's in the finals right now. That's player development, dog. Joker is Joker, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't this Joker when he came to the league. He wasn't this guy when he came into the league. That's player development. Now, player development goes two ways. Because sometimes let the coach focus on player development. Well, the player better want to develop his damn self. That's first and foremost. But you got player development. You look at the Miami Heat, a bunch of undrafted guys, a bunch of guys that went on high on nobody's draft board, a bunch of guys that wasn't even supposed to be here, but played within their team, worked and been developed as players. That's player development. So you look at it, and there's no way that you cannot look at what's going on right now and tell me player development is not essential. You can go back to the Golden State Warriors. Love him or hate him, Mark Jackson created that team. Mark Jackson and the player development staff got Steph Curry and it wasn't like Steph Curry wasn't a great shooter. He's the best. All right, when it comes to shooting three ball, he's the best. Point blank period. But he was developed and worked on. Klay Thompson, same thing. That's player development. Like, these guys they didn't just come into the league tearing it up. All right, it took time for them to get there. I remember listening to Mark Jackson huddles during the games in the playoffs. And I was like, yo, this Golden State team is coming. Now, I had no idea they're gonna be what they were today, or what they've known to be. But at the time you've seen it, that's player development. And every one of these coaching candidates that's on this top three candidates are big on player development. So that's clear. That's clear. Now, when you talk about player development, you're talking about, I'm calling him Darko Raj, however we're going to do it here. You got to look at the team. You look at Desmond Bane, player development. Jaren Jackson, yeah, he came in with a little hype, but player development to get them to how many. We've seen a lot of them come in with hype, but that's player development. You look at Ja Morant. Yeah, we know what Ja Morant is, but you look not this year, but the year prior to that, his 3-point shot was the best of his career. That's player development. Again, player development is two ways. The coach does develop, but the player got to play his role. So it's two ways. But that's player development, working to develop these players. And I think this guy can be, I'm not saying he's my favorite for the job. I'm not even finna lie. But I think that he fits the bill of what they want. I'm going to go to Raptors for this real quick. And shout out to Raptors. First of all, whenever I'm reading an article on here, I like to shout out the publisher, the individual that wrote it, as well as the article, as well as the site, just because it's a lot of hard work that go into making these. So shout out to Raptors. It says, Raj spent 8 years as the chief youth coach for Serbian powerhouse before moving to the G League as a head coach of the Tulsa 76ers, now the Oklahoma City Blue. Then he moved to the Thunder 2014 and 19 before spending a year in Phoenix and what has been a productive 3 years in Memphis. With young players like Ja, Jaren Jackson Jr. become elite in a very short time, Raj's ability to work with young talent has already been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt and will be able to bring energy over to the Raptors in 2023. Not only has Morant become a star and Jaren Jackson the player of the year, but Desmond Bane become one of the league's best shooters, while Luke Kennard put up video game numbers. Offense and shooters are the name of his game, which can be a refreshing change of pace, obviously, for the Toronto Raptors. Nick Nurse is all defense. This is what it is. He's a defensive coach. It's all about the defense. Raj is more about the offense, which I think makes a great combination, meaning that the players who've been hounded about defense, they got a defensive base. They know what to do on defense. So now you bring a coach in there that can add that offensive spark. I think the sky's the limit. I think he's a good candidate. Again, not my choice, but he's a great candidate. And we'll see how it all plays out. Now, again, when you judge him, I just ask that you judge him on the court. I don't judge him about the temperament of the team outside of basketball, all the antics, all of that. Got nothing to judge this man on the court. And the offensive production speaks for itself. And the key thing it were people that argue that the Memphis Grizzlies were just as good, or if not better at times, without Ja Morant. Now let that soak in for a minute. Now if that's the case, then the guy knows what he's doing when it comes to player development. Now I'm not saying it's all him. I'm not giving him all the credit. Obviously he's a part of Taylor Jacobs' staff. But at the end of the day, man, I think he fits the bill. He fits what they want. He's not my choice, but I think he's definitely worthy of a second look. He's definitely worthy of being in our final list. Again, we're going to keep this going. I got another video coming up. Hopefully I get it out today, if not tomorrow, on who else should be the candidate, who on the other two candidates, and two dark horses in this race, man. With that being said, guys, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, you guys be great, man.